Good morning, everyone. Our presentation title for today is Challenges Affecting the Management of Food and Beverage Supply Chain at Macro and Micro Level. My name is Lim Jia-en, and my group members are Ong Ji-han and Ling Meng-chen. Moving on to the next slide. This is our table of content. First, I will explain the theory used for food and beverage industry, which is supply chain resilience. This theory helps companies prepare for disruption, adapt to unexpected problems, and recover quickly to maintain product flow. According to Dock and Hansemeyer 2024, companies need flexible suppliers, transportation routes, and logistics systems to handle disruption. Next, companies having multiple suppliers or backup distribution centers help reduce supply risk. Thus, companies must quickly adjust inventory, transportation, or sourcing when disruption occurs. Therefore, stronger supply chain resilience helps food and beverage companies maintain stable food distribution and reduce the risk of delays during disruption. Next, I will start the introduction. The food and beverage industry is experiencing significant growth, with the market projected to increase from 4,075.7 billion in 2025 to 4,291.6 billion in 2026, reflecting a compound annual growth rate of 5.3%. Despite this expansion, the industry faced critical challenges in managing its supply chain. A major concern is food supply inefficiency, where up to 40% of food produced is lost or waste before it reaches consumer, impacting both availability and profitability. In addition, the global interconnectedness of food and beverage supply chain means that disruption in production, logistics, or trade can affect the delivery, cost, and accessibility of products. Now I will pass to Ji-han to discuss the macro level challenge.
The first macro level challenge is geopolitical conflict, as illustrated by the US-China trade war. According to Chu and Tukra 2024, China imposed retaliatory tariff of approximately 25% on US soybeans, causing a sharp decline in demand. Soybean imports from the US decreased from around 40% to roughly 18%, while China redirected much of its soybean imports to Brazil. Because of the tariffs imposed, the prices increased, which significantly reduced demand. For instance, US soybean producers experienced substantial losses, totaling about USD 9.4 billion in annualized terms. Moreover, firms in Japan that rely heavily on export to China experienced a 7.5% decrease in their export. According to Putzier 2025, Pacific Valley Foods, for example, lost its largest Chinese customer in early 2022, resulting in a revenue decline of approximately 70%. Moving on to the next slide. This slide focusing on export restriction due to the Russia-Ukraine war. According to European Council 2025, Ukraine grains production dropped by approximately 39% as a result of the conflict. At the same time, wheat prices rose by about 34% because of export restriction. Due to limited supply, costs have increased, squeezing profit margins and creating challenges in managing production and pricing strategies. According to Butler 2022, over 70% of the world's sunflower oils come from Russia and Ukraine, making it difficult to secure enough raw materials to meet production needs. For example, Nestle faced difficulties in sourcing sufficient sunflower oil and raised prices by 5.2% in 2022 due to fear of shortages and the need to maintain production continuity. Now I will pass to Jia-en to talk about another macro challenge.
Now I will discuss second macro level challenge, which is global inflation. In figure 4, the World Food Price Index has been fluctuating between 2023 and 2026. This fluctuation indicates that food prices around the world are unstable, which increase uncertainty for companies. A good example is Del Monte Pacific. In Figure 5, we can see the gross profit decline from 607 million to 419.6 million, which represent about 31% decrease. According to Cost Graph 2025, US government tariff on imported steel and aluminum, rising 50% in cost of metal used in canned food and beverage packaging by mid-2025, which increased the cost in supply chain and packaging. Furthermore, Figure 6 highlights the serious financial challenge faced by the company. According to Free Malaysia Today 2025, global inflation is one of the issues caused the company profit drop. This case shows how global inflation and rising supply chain costs can impact food and beverage companies. Let's look at another case study of Heineken. Now, one of the main raw materials in brewing beer is wheat. According to FAO 2025, show that the international wheat price have generally been trending down, but they are still unstable. For example, on January 2025, wheat in European Union is at 242, has dropped 14.1% compared to last year. Even though price dropped, that volatility makes it hard to plan ahead. The beer volume declined by 4.7% because when costs rise, they pass those increases onto consumer, and that reduced the demand. According to Heineken Holding 2024, although revenue increased because of the global inflation, the raw material price increased. Because of that, profit loss from 1,343 million in 2022 to 1,174 million in 2023. Therefore, Heineken's case shows how global inflation does not just affect consumers, it directly pressures companies, forcing them to balance rising costs with falling demand. Now I will pass to Meng Chun to discuss the micro-level challenge.
So the first micro challenge is higher transport and procurement costs. According to Chang ETAL 2024, Figure 10 illustrated the continual truck driver shortage, which has reduced trucking capacity across the industry. Fewer drivers have reduced trucking capacity, leading to increased food transportation costs. According to Shi 2025, truck driver shortage contributed to higher food prices by up to 3%. For instance, McDonald's distributor Martin Brewer raises delivery fees, putting upward pressure on menu prices. Due to higher transportation costs, rising food prices cause customers to buy less or switch to alternatives, potentially reducing revenue despite higher prices. For example, in Timika City, Indonesia, for every 1,000 Indonesian rupiah increase in truck costs, food prices rose by an average of 0.35 rupiah. Rising food prices may cause customers to buy less or switch to alternatives, potentially reducing revenue despite higher prices. Next. This slide shows the effect of higher procurement costs on food and beverages, supply chain management. These costs include total expenses in acquiring goods or services, including purchase price, storage, and administrative costs. According to DOSM 2026, in January 2026, the price of standard chicken in Malaysia increased from 10 ringgit 40 cent per kilogram in 2025 to 10 ringgit 53 cent per kilogram. During the same period, egg prices rose by 3.9% and dairy prices by 1.1%. Because the price adjustments are uncertain, making it difficult for businesses to decide how much stock to buy or hold. For example, during the Ramadan Bazaar, nasi ayam prices also reflected rising costs. In 2024, nasi ayam sold for 7 ringgit 30 cent, increasing to 7 ringgit 80 cent in 2025, and reaching between RM8 to RM10 in 2026 due to higher costs for eggs and chicken, showing a clear increase over time. So, according to NAMC 2025, in South Africa, the price of fresh chicken increased by 5.03% in 2025 compared to the previous years. Therefore, Nando's South Africa raised the prices of its chicken meals by 12% to offset rising sourcing costs. So next, I will pass to my friend Jihan to discuss another micro challenges.
Now let's move on to the second micro level challenge, increased food waste. Figure 11 shows that how food waste has grown in several countries between 2021 and 2024. According to Eurostat 2024, in the European Union, total food waste in 2023 was estimated at 58.2 million tons. For example, in late 2024, worker strikes at Woolworths Distribution Centre in Victoria and New South Wales left goods stuck in the warehouses. Perishable items like fruit, vegetables, and dairy sat too long in transport networks, arriving at stores near expiry or already spoiled. Retailers had to discard them, leading to an estimated 60 million reduction in food sales. Beyond the financial loss, this disruption also hurt customer trust. People started seeing Woolworths as unreliable. Going on to the next slide. This slide highlights how inadequate packaging, poor handling, and failure to maintain freshness drive food waste in the supply chain. According to ULIC ETL 2025, for example, in Nigeria, poorly stackable ventilator and contaminated baskets cause an average loss of 41 to 48% of tomatoes during transit. In Malaysia, up to 25% of meat and dairy products were lost due to inadequate packaging method during transit. According to Fink 2023, in early 2023, Conagra brand recalled 2.6 million pounds of canned meat and poultry due to a packaging defect that potentially allowed contamination or spoilage. Such large-scale recalls harm a company's reputation and reduce consumer trust in its products. Now I will pass to Meng Chen to conclude the presentation.
To conclude, the food and beverage supply chain today is facing several challenges at both macro and micro levels. At macro level, global issues such as geopolitical conflicts and rising inflation have affected the availability of raw materials and increased overall costs across the supply chain. As a result, companies also experience micro-level challenges within their daily operations. For instance, many firms are dealing with higher transportation and procurement costs and increased food waste, which directly increase operating expenses and supply disruption and delivery delay. Therefore, it is important for food and beverage companies to maintain stable operations and ensure a consistent supply of food to the market.
So these are our references.
Okay, all right. So answer this question, yeah. Now you have presented two macro and two micro challenges, all right, for the F&B industry, F&B supply chain. Now, which macro and which micro do you think from your readings is the biggest challenge for any organizations? Any one of you can answer this.
Yes, me. So at the macro level, global inflation is the biggest challenge because it drives up costs across the board and reduce demands. So at the micro level, higher transportation and procurement costs are the most critical since they directly impact daily operation and profitability.
Okay, all right. So Jihan, any one of you want to try?
Okay, in my opinion, the biggest macro challenge is geopolitical conflict, as it can suddenly block supply routes and stop raw materials for reaching the food and beverage business. At the micro level, higher transport and procurement costs are most significant because they directly raise expenses and affect the day-to-day running of the supply chain, while the food waste is usually a result of these problems.
Okay, with that, thank you so much. I'll stop here.